Welcome everybody to Go Local Live. I'm Josh Fenton, CEO and co-founder. Little quick news, Parker Gavigan, the investigative reporter at Channel 10, is leaving WJR. He is going to the city of Providence to be their communications director, I think, at the city council office. That news is just breaking. Let's go to Moses Brown. They are in a growth period, lots of changes at Moses Brown. And I want to introduce Oliver Marti. He's the head of the lower school, and Elizabeth Grumbach. She's one of the faculty members. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to be here.
Thank you.
So OJ, you're the top man over there in the lower school. Give us a description for those of us who haven't had the experience of having our children at Moses Brown. What's the Moses Brown Lower School experience, and what's the benefit of it to families, and especially to the development of children?
Well, first, thanks for having us, and it's a pleasure to be here with you all. Moses Brown Lower School experience is what I would say is a joyous one. I am outside every single day greeting our families and greeting our students, and to see them run from their cars all the way to meet their classmates and get excited to see their teachers. It's a really joyous place. And I think that is something that really makes us unique. As a Quaker school, also, we think about every single child and what makes them unique. And with that, we try to kind of cultivate that in the classroom through all our hands-on experiences, our lessons, and everything that we do on an everyday basis with our students. So it's just a wonderful and fun place to be.
OJ, how much better is this year than last year? The pandemic, it's not gone away, but it's certainly in a much better place than it was 12 months ago.
Oh, yes, absolutely. It's interesting. When you go to school to be a school leader, you don't think that you'll be talking about quarantines and masking and all these things. But it's been an incredible last year and a half to just see our community come together. Just to think about the experience of our kids and our families and our teachers. And we've all just worked incredibly hard to make sure that they're having a really great experience. It's still learning, right? Because they're still kids, and we want to make sure that they're having a good experience. So it's been a really rewarding last couple of years for me of all the hard work that we've done and put in.
Elizabeth, talk about you're the war-torn veteran over at MB. You've been there, a dozen plus years. How's the school changed over those years?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I think in some ways it hasn't changed. In some ways our Quaker roots kind of have guided us. But I think we have learned to embrace the Quaker aspect of who we are in really important ways, especially in the last sort of 4 or 5 years as the national climate has become kind of complicated. It's allowed us to navigate that with a simplicity. And that's because, as OJ said, we see every individual as being deserving of equal respect and having something to offer. And so it's about the human experience. And so that's something I think we've learned to articulate better as a community and to use as a guiding light as we're navigating this. I think the lower school, in terms of its program, has evolved in some really exciting ways. I think that there's a lot of collaboration that goes on in our division. As a science teacher, I'm working with the art teacher, I'm working with the classroom teachers. We do a lot of work to think about ways that we can work together to make the experience better for the students. So, we're learning about rocks and minerals in first grade, but the art teacher is having them do observational drawings of their favorite rocks and minerals that they're going to bring back to the science class, and we're going to make mineral trading cards. So, fun things to do with the kids, but it's bringing us together. I think there's been a renewed, exciting initiatives around DEI work in our community that have allowed us to dig into some of the aspects of identity and inclusion that have made our lower school just a really warm and a place where everybody can feel a sense of belonging. So.
Yeah. Can I jump in there about an
please.
example? Grade. Right now, we are studying the Thanksgiving Day story. So when we think about diversity and inclusion, they read the story from 2 different perspectives. So the perspective of the Native Americans and also the perspective of the Pilgrims. But in that, we also have kind of a service learning opportunity where we study food insecurity in Rhode Island, and our students partner and our teachers partner with Camp Street Ministries here in Providence to provide some food and donations for families who are less fortunate in our community. So it's kind of a really, really important aspect of our program, like Elizabeth said. So I just wanted to give that example as well.
Talk a little bit about the physical changes at Moses Brown. I don't want to call it a building boom, but we live a few blocks away and walk through sometimes, and it seems like there is another miraculous building every time we cut through. Talk a little bit about the changes to the campus.
Yeah. Well, I'll first speak to the lower school specifically. We are really excited that we are currently renovating our lower school building. And buildings are wonderful and are magnificent, and it definitely enhances the experience of our students. But I think it's our community that really makes our school kind of the heartbeat of our school. It's the people, it's the kids, the families. But we're really excited to have a space that's going to be warm and cozy. We wanted to feel safe for students. So we spent last 2 years like really thinking about the design of the building. And it's just an honor to work with colleagues like Elizabeth and other people to really think about what makes a really great 21st century education look like, and what a building would reflect that. So it's really been a really great opportunity for us as a lower school to talk about our building and our space.
Yeah, and I think, buildings they can really enhance a learning experience. So one of the things we thought about in terms of designing spaces was recognizing that kids are different in many ways, right? They have different hopes and dreams and different strengths and different challenges, and they learn differently. And so we wanted to make sure that the classroom spaces are one that allowed children to learn in the way that works best for them. And so that's really exciting to think about, being able to move into a space where there's flexibility in terms of how you are creating nooks and crannies and collaborative working spaces and individual working spaces and standing desks. And
Yeah, let me ask you a question. We're in such a period of transformation and reflection, and you talked about mineral trading cards. I am looking for a Cumberland Knight rookie card, by the way. But Thanksgiving, how difficult is it? How complex is it to sort of introduce new points of view into the academic narrative, but also be reflective of sort of the traditional educational structure and what expectations parents have for what their child's learning and what they know of as the norm? How complex is that, trying to work through that progression?
Yeah, that's a great question. We could probably talk about that for an hour, but I think one of the things that's fundamental for me, and I think as a school, is that we're going to do a great job of educating our students with reading and writing and math, but it's also the people that they are and are becoming. So we focus a lot on that. And also myself as a school leader, I remember my elementary school principal being this really scary person, right? So for me, I try to be visible, try to get to know students, try to get to know families and who they are as people, what their values are, and ensuring that we're sharing what our values are as a school. And most of the time, they're very, very much aligned. And I think that's like talking about values and who we want our students to become helps us kind of think about that in our curriculum. So I think that's how I would answer that question without going into like really, really deep details. But I think that is what I would say for that question.
Yeah, and I'll just add, I think, one of the strengths that OJ brings to our division is the ability to build trust. And I think, we see the family and school partnership as being at the core. And so if you're building a trusting relationship with the families that you're working with, you're able to have conversations that will help them understand that just like they were doing 100 years ago, we're trying to create paths for students to figure out who they want to become and who they're sort of destined to become in a world that is 20 years down the road, right? And so we're trying to think proactively about what they're going to need in terms of skills and in terms of knowledge. And that is going to look a little bit different potentially from what my parents were trying to have me get ready for. Mm-hmm. So as long as we're engaged in conversation about why we're doing what we're doing and how it's in the best interest of the children in the room, that I think helps navigate some of those harder conversations.
And I will add lastly is I always say this to families, you have your children for a lifetime, we have them for a while. So the homeschool partnership is critical. So we always kind of use that as a kind of a motto for us here at Moses Brown.
Let's talk a little bit about sort of the process to Moses Brown. You had an open house last month, and you've got another one coming up, I think, in January. Talk about, if this conversation piques my interest as a parent, and I'm thinking about what's the best environment for my child. what's that process? And not everybody lives in Barrington or East Greenwich or the east side of Providence. How accessible, what's the opportunity for me for my child to potentially be at a place like Moses Brown?
Yeah, that's a great question. Just, in terms of steps, obviously reach out to our admissions team to schedule some opportunities to tour our space and have some conversations with our admissions folks. But, this education is accessible to everyone. We want it to be accessible for everyone. So we encourage everyone to come and to apply. One of the big focuses that we've had as a school over the last few years is thinking about scholarship and financial aid. So the school has invested a lot of time and resources in thinking about what our school population looks like. So we want to hear from as many families that think that could be a great fit for us here at Moses Brown, and we encourage you to reach out, look at our website, and apply and come visit us.
I mean, I think you talked about sort of the buildings going up. Behind the scenes, there was significant amounts of money being raised for the invisible structure, which is financial aid. So that's really an exciting thing. And I would also say that I think, as again, you go back to the Quaker school idea. As a Quaker school, we believe that every individual has a light, has a potential, and has skills and talents and perspectives that would benefit the fabric of our day-to-day life. So we're looking for all different kinds of perspectives and ideas to enrich the experience for everybody who's in the room. There isn't a type of Moses Brown student. There's a type of family who wants to partner with the school to have their child really grow and flourish. So.
Okay, last question to each of you. What's the absolute best part of Moses Brown?
I have the best job. I have the best job of anybody in the whole world. I get to sit down every day with 3 to 10-year-olds. I get to hear their questions, throw some materials at them, and just watch this sort of curiosity-driven, controlled chaos happen as they are learning and having fun and laughing. So I think the kids by far are just the best part of my day.
I would agree, except for the students, but I would disagree. I feel like I have the best job because I get to see it happen throughout the entire lower school. I can walk in and see our nursery program, our 3-year-olds, engaging in a hands-on experience in a project, and then go and see our 5th graders. So I personally feel like I have the best job because I get to put the conditions in place, really set the tone, set the vision, and our amazing faculty like Elizabeth just do the magic in the classroom. And so it's a really great place to be. It's a joyous place to be, and we just have a lot of fun. What a great big thing to go to work and smile every single day and hang out with children. So it's a great place.
To OJ and Elizabeth, I want to thank you so much for joining us. For everybody else, stay tuned. We have much, much more. Former Director of Health, Michael Fine, will join us at 1:30 like he does every week. And we'll be talking about how important the vaccination for these new eligible 5 to 11-year-olds are going to be and what the potential is, where we need to hit in a percentage standpoint to be able to get the masks off kids in schools. It's a long road, but it is one that is achievable. Also, stay tuned for much, much more in updates throughout the afternoon on GoLocal. E-blasts are flying out all the time. And last but not least, don't be Aaron Rodgers. Go get vaccinated. If you haven't been vaccinated, do so. Save your family, your friends, your coworkers, your children. And if you have been, start looking at getting that booster shot. Most of the vaccines wane after about 6 months, according to the analysis. And so being up to date and fully vaccinated as best you can is key. You can mix and match them now. Thanks, everybody. Stay tuned for much, much more.